Hi, I'm Emily Roger, host of the Boiling Point podcast. My co-host, Dave Vale, and I will bring you thoughtful discussions with leaders who are positively impacting our world. This is The Boiling Point, where leadership and inspiration meet. Hello, listeners. Welcome back to The Boiling Point today. So many exciting things happening. First of all, we have Pete Stoddart back with us. He has been a guest here before, and now he is coming on as my co-host as Dave Vale is away. And I was like, the show needs to go on, and I want the show to go on with Pete. So Pete, thanks for filling in today. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm excited and thankful to be here. I don't know who's Dave. Isn't it when Matt was saying you can't take vacation, you're immediately, replaced. So
that's right.
Here I am.
No vacation days in the Boiling Point. You take one day off, you lose your spot. You've been replaced.
Yeah. So let that be a warning.
Yeah. And so for listeners who you can go back and listen a few episodes ago when Pete was on the podcast, but Pete is a dear friend of mine, a colleague. He's also an executive coach with Vision Coaching and just an all around incredible person. So yeah, Pete, I appreciate this so much. And you have a special connection with our guest on the show today, which I love. It's like, these conversations that we get to have with people and just how connected everyone is. And so to find out, that you and our guest today, Victoria, already have a bit of a background was pretty cool.
Yeah, I've known Victoria for a long time. We've done some fun projects together over the years, and I've always admired her leadership and charisma, but also just being creative and getting things done and giving back to the community and fishing and all the other things that make someone great. So I'm really looking forward to peeling back the curtains a little bit. I went back and listened to her original podcast from back in 2015, I think, and with Greg and Dave. So I guess we have the topic because it was a pretty amazing intro, so no pressure.
Yes, we do. 8 years later. Yeah. And so with that, Victoria is an experienced tourism industry leader with an award-winning marketing, sales, and philanthropic track record. She is skilled in destination marketing, nonprofit organizations, event management, team building, broadcasting, and government and media relations. And Victoria was on the Boiling Point back in 2015. So here we are 8 years later, and Victoria is now the CEO of Visit Mississauga. Victoria Clarke, welcome back.
Hi, thanks, Emily, and great to see you, Pete. And thanks for not just immediately sharing an embarrassing story like Dave and Greg were so kind to do back in 2015.
Not even, what story?
Right.
We don't know.
I love that too. But listen, folks, thank you so much. A lot's happened since 2015, and I really appreciate being invited on the podcast today.
Yeah. Well, and first of all, I think most importantly, can we talk about the phone that's in your background?
Oh, you can. It's the it's the bat phone. I am here in the brand new Moxie Hotel in Halifax. It's a Marriott property, and let's start it with a funny story. A couple of weekends ago, I was here for the Junos. I was citing the Junos. I would love to host them in Mississauga. It's part of my job. And got to celebrate our friend, Maestro Fresh West, as he was being inducted into the Canadian Music Hall of Fame. And I wanted to support Music Counts and bought a few auction items, one of which was to see Rick Mercer and Jan Arden at Scotiabank Centre, which I incorrectly thought was in Toronto. And so now I'm in Halifax. So I was telling my mom and dad, I bought you this great anniversary gift. It's your 55th wedding anniversary. You're going to see Rick and Jan. So cool. Dad said, where is the Moxie? And I was like, it's new. And when I looked on the internet, it said Halifax. So here I am. Now I'm going to see them here in Halifax, and I'm going to get to move my daughter between apartments here in Halifax. But the funny way is that life moves you.
Wow.
I love it. I love it. Yeah.
Really following the line. The telephone line. Who do you call? Like who do you call? on that?
I can call, I don't know. Let's call somebody.
Does it go like is it like your bat signal?
Let's call.
We need a destination
It
marketing.
is really working. Oh my God, it really is working.
Yeah, let's call Rick Mercer. Let's call Rick Mercer.
Yeah, get Rick Mercer on the
Rick.
horn.
We could call Rick and Jan. We will. Oh my God, guys, now I'm totally.
Maybe they can get some more clear directions on where this event's taking place too.
They're now going to call me because we think there's an emergency in this room. It's a real phone.
It is a real phone.
I am actually a professional person. Here we go.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being here. We are very grateful for you delivering some of your valuable time here to the listeners of the Boiling Point podcast. Emily?
Absolutely.
I love how we can just chime in from wherever we are. And that this is the beautiful thing about working remotely. And I just was able to get back on a flight in time due to some flight cancellations, but otherwise, I was going to be doing this from a hotel this morning also. And it's just so wonderful that we can all connect no matter where we are, except for Dave Vale. When he goes on vacation, he gets cut.
He probably has boundaries between his work and his life. For me, in the role that I'm in now, as CEO of Visit Mississauga, it's actually a dual role. It's CEO of Visit Mississauga, which is a destination marketing organization. I'm also a director with the City of Mississauga. So the City of Mississauga is about 6,200 employees. Mississauga, for your listeners, is closing in on 1 million people. Pearson Airport down to Lake Ontario.
Yeah, wonderful. So 8 years ago, you were with Destination St. John.
Yeah, Discover St. John. I came in. Discover St. John was around for about 10 years. It's part of Envision St. John right now. But 5 years in, I got to inherit an absolutely incredible team from Ross Jefferson, who is now CEO at Discover Halifax here in Halifax. But started my journey in tourism. And Emily, I have grown and learned so much since then. My career is not taking me in a straight line. I started off after I graduated from DAL, also here in Halifax. Wow, what a full circle time in my life here. Did my degree in philosophy, and my dad asked me what mountaintop I was going to be working from. I started in computerized accounting, went into computer programming and did year 2000 conversion. Went on to raise my kids and then go into morning radio, which led into healthcare philanthropy. And I got an opportunity to be invited to interview for CEO for Discover St. John. And destination marketing, destination sales is such a unique, it's a unique opportunity. It's a unique opportunity and if you listen to the past podcast, to form a narrative around your city that a municipality isn't able to speak to on its own, or any one business in the community is able to speak to on its own. And now here, back in 2021, I was given the opportunity to start a brand new destination marketing organization with the City of Mississauga. And, career-wise, this just never comes up. Being able to start a DMO from the first steps for a city that's almost 1 million people was an incredible career opportunity. So a lot has happened since 2015.
Wow. Yeah, you've been busy. That's
for sure. But I'll tell you, St. John was a really great place to start and to learn and to grow. I went back and listened to that and I had to get through all the laughing. But once I got into the meat of that podcast with Dave and Greg, it was reminding me that, the quote that I have of myself is that St. John was the prettiest girl at the dance and didn't know. And for those people now, during the pandemic and since that have moved to St. John, get to see the things that we were selling and that St. John wasn't even sure if it believed about itself. And, now you see mature events like Area 506 and Moonlight Bazaar. You see people really appreciating what the uptown core of the city had to offer as far as lifestyle. And those things have come to fruition. And so now I have the daunting task of building a narrative around a city that is incredibly multicultural, hosts 75 Fortune 500 headquarters, global headquarters, and is a city that, I'm here in Halifax with 11 cranes in the air. There's 35 cranes in the air in Mississauga, and the landscape is transforming. And so it's exciting, but making sure that you're telling a story about a community that actually resonates, first of all, with residents is really challenging, and it's exciting work.
And are you still based out where are you, other than right now Halifax and being remote? Where's home base for you?
So home for me now is Georgetown. So I live just outside of the city of Mississauga, northwest of Mississauga. I still own my home in St. John. I'll tell you, it is very, very hard for me to let go of New Brunswick. And so I have some friends and my kids staying at the house. But really, if I had to say, where do I spend most of my time? I've got some street cred here with Marriott. Whether I'm in Boston or Vancouver, I'm in Ottawa quite frequently for government relations for some of the professional volunteer work that I do. So I'm just as likely to be on a plane or in a boardroom in a hotel conference center as I am, behind a desk.
Like when I first went back to school at Royal Roads and I ran into you on the ice that day, we were ice fishing, and you kind of shared like how important that was to do. And,
oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. I guess I would just, sorry, go ahead.
I was really excited for you that day, Peter, because Emily, the way that Pete and I know each other is that, as a partner in St. John Ale House, not only was Peter, leading the programming on the waterfront, which to me was a signature of St. John and enlivening and engaging the waterfront experience there. The things that were happening in the St. John Ale House were the reason that we were having people come to St. John. We were sharing a world-class chef. We were sharing world-class seafood, and managing that stuff doesn't happen by accident. We didn't discover St. John Ale House. St. John Ale House was already, a public relations, media relations force, and that was Peter. So to think that Peter was moving out of that space and was going to be able to share that innovation, that vision with other people. And then Peter, for me, it was really important that you were taking that opportunity because you know that I believe in continuing education. That's a no-brainer. But the other part is like, there's a personal connection for me, a personal connection. I don't believe you're interviewing me because I've been a vision coaching client, but it doesn't hurt that I've been a vision coaching client. Bruce McLeod was my executive coach for 10 years. Yeah. And, wow. We went from being a client to being a friend. And I can say that with complete confidence. We shared a lot of life's ups and downs, and Bruce could see the possibilities and the potential for me when I couldn't. And, and in the true coach approach, the answer is within you. I get it. Sometimes I would be like, can you take off the coach hat? I need you to take off the coach hat for a minute because I need my friend Bruce to give me advice. And sometimes he would firmly keep that hat on, and sometimes don't tell anybody he would take it off. And so knowing that, Peter, that you were going to be in a position like that to help and grow other leaders, they say it's lonely at the top. It's not necessarily the top. It's lonely in the singularity of a particular role you're in. And the role that I was in with the St. John Regional Hospital Foundation when I first met Bruce, to discover St. John, to then transitioning, unfortunately, through a divorce, and they all kind of started happening at the same time, and in a new role in a new province. Having Bruce as a constant in my ear was, well, he encouraged me to take chances, and he encouraged me to remind myself of my professional capabilities and my personal worth. And to know, Peter, that you were entering into that realm, I was so excited for you. And I was particularly proud when you graduated, because I know Royal Roads is incredibly involved, and being a graduate, it means something. It's not a designation you buy, it's a designation you earn.
Well, thank you. That's very kind of you to say, and truly inspiring me to continue to grow in that professional development, because I knew how much you valued at that point. And I can't remember what program you were finishing at the time, but you're pretty well wrapping up a bow on one and like ready to start another. So yeah. What have you done professionally, developmentally speaking, that's kind of helped you leapfrog into where you're at now? And is there anything you can share?
Oh, listen, to me, like, you never stop learning. And actually, I've just been spending the weekend with a friend here that works in philanthropy, who's working towards her CFRE. And I had started that designation when I was still in philanthropy. And I was looking for that opportunity when I moved to tourism. So when we start to get specialized, and you know better than anyone, Peter, when you start to get specialized in your career, you find out that nobody's ever done what you're doing, or the people that you're doing the same job as maybe a little territorial about what they've learned and what they're experts at. And destination leadership, destination sales and management was no different. We were the only ones doing that in our town. And then the next town was in competition with us, and maybe the next province was in competition with us. And so how do you learn best practices? How do you share best practices? And so that would be the same in philanthropy. That would be the same in restaurant development. That really is the same everywhere. So how do you sharpen your tools, or how do you even get tools to sharpen in the first place? And so I was looking for that. And so I immediately, upon, getting my leadership role with Discover St. John, started to look for peers. And so I joined Destination Marketing Association of Canada, and that would be the CEOs of destinations across the country. And, it strengthened my relationships with the other DMO leaders in the Maritimes, but it gave me some people to bounce ideas against that didn't feel like they were in a competitive set with me. That exposed me to Destinations International, and it just kind of takes off from there. And that's the designation that you and I were talking about, Pete. Certified Destination Management Executive is the MBA of the tourism industry, particularly the destination marketing industry. And so to be able to go on that journey, pre-COVID, took my first course in Banff, met Craig Davis, who at the time was CEO of Philadelphia. No, not of Philadelphia. Oh, I get Philadelphia. It doesn't matter. Pittsburgh. Sorry, Pittsburgh. The two of them are on the same recipe card in my brain. If you could see what my brain looks like, it's a Rolodex with recipe cards.
I can't.
So Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, guys, come on.
Steelers.
Exactly. Oh, my Lordy. And then now is the CEO with Dallas. The same Charles Harris, he was the CMO with Visit Anaheim. Like, these are huge, huge organizations. These people became colleagues, they became mentors, they became friends. And that's what this does. At the end of the day, you have a designation that we can all agree that we know what the value of it is. But the thing that you can't measure, and you can only take what you're willing to give. And that is building your network and building relationships. And to me, you and I know, Peter, like, that's where my heart lives. My heart lives is how can I get to know you? And then how can we further connect? And how can I connect you with someone else in my network? Like, that's my, if you want to know what I get high on, that's the only thing I'm addicted to in life, is connecting people. So CDME allowed me to do that. I've since got more involved in Destinations International. So now I'm a trustee on their foundation board. I'm on the board for the designation, and now I'm an instructor in the designation. And, they didn't love it at first when I said the biggest thing I get out of it was the network, but the biggest thing that I got out of it was the network. And it continues to educate me and allows me to share my expertise as well.
Yeah, I love that. The whole interconnectedness of how so much comes from building relationships and having community. And I love and really appreciate you bringing up the fact that you were coached by Bruce McLeod. And for our listeners who are not aware, Bruce, who has since passed away a year and a half ago, was a coach with Royal Roads. He actually was also my coach, or a coach with Vision Coaching, and a professor at Royal Roads. And yeah, he was my coach also, and a professor, a teacher. And, I love what you said too around this. He was your coach, but also your friend. And even when I think of philanthropy, and I think so often we think of philanthropy as just giving money, but very much around giving time. And Bruce was such a prime example of just giving time and caring and being compassionate and just really showing the power of building good relationships and good networks amongst people. I really, really love that. And so for your I know you are really big in philanthropy and wanting to give back. And so first of all, what does philanthropy even mean to you?
So it's community building. It's community building. And to me, just to play on what you're already saying, Emily, to me, I kind of joke that the kids say TMI, and I use TMI to say time, money, and influence. And that each of us has one of those to give, and many of us have more than one. And so if you're able to give any of those, I thank you. If you're able to give all of those, that's great. And when I say money that is meaningful, not just the fact that you have, Time, meaning whether you're volunteering, first frontline, or you're volunteering, sharing your time or expertise. And then influence. If you're able to share that there's something happening in the community that's meaningful to you, that you're contributing to financially or with your time, if you can connect or open a door to somebody that may not know about your opportunity or may not be easily to access, that to me is the real formula. The other thing for me is just a love of community. So when I was home with the kids, I remember Bruce saying, and it's so funny because this is Bruce McLeod. Bruce McLeod talking to me about my career back when I just started with Discover St. John and what I've been doing, and because he's encouraging me to take that next big step or to do that next big project. And he said, you called yourself a stay-at-home mom, but the thing I notice about when you talk about it is that you never stayed home. And he was like, you never stayed home. And so my kids and I was involved in the United Way. I ran the kids' not-for-profit cooperative preschool, and got involved in lots of campaigns and raised money with girlfriends. We had a group called the Divine Divas. It's so hilarious now. I wish I could show you the logo, and you can. Rhonda Cusack was involved, Pete, so you know what that's all about. So
yeah.
Great women finding ways to improve the community. And it was actually through that, Emily, and again, time, money, influence. I went in to promote an event that we were putting on, and the DJ would be somebody that would not know anything about an all-women's event. And I thought, well, let me go in and talk about the show. I left the show with an offer to be on morning radio. While I'm on morning radio talking about things that matter to me, a blood drive. And I said, I'll be a lifelong blood donor because my son needed a blood transfusion at birth. Invited in Tim Cameron, who is the president and CEO at the time of the St. John Regional Hospital Foundation. When he left, when you don't want to do this anymore, Vic, give me a call. And I ended up working there, and same went from an events coordinator and ended as acting CEO. And so to me, it's about leveraging opportunities. It's about leveraging the network and always giving back. And I'll tell you, if you want to know, if you feel lost in life, if you feel like you don't know who your people are, if there's anything lacking in your life, I'm going to tell you the perfect way to fill it. And my goodness, I sound like I'm preaching, but volunteer. Yeah. Get involved. If there's something in your community that you care about and you get involved, I'll tell you, it'll transform your life. Those are your people. There's your friends. Yeah. There's your mentors, and there's your healers. And, you'll get back 1,000-fold anything you give. I tell you that hand on heart. You will get back 1,000 times what you give. And so for me, it's also fun because, I see the fish behind you, and I see all the different images behind you, Peter, of the things that you love to do. And, people don't like to hear it. Philanthropy to me is sales, and sales to me is hunting, and I'm a hunter. I love to track the big game. I love to track it. And to me, and the great thing about it is the benefit is to the community. So you hunt the big game, but, you get to improve healthcare. Oh, that's a great reason to hunt. You get to make sure that after school programs are available for low income families in St. John. Yeah. And so that's the reason that I participate in any kind of philanthropic work, because it feeds me and it feeds the community, and it's time well spent. And so my poor children have been dragged pillar to post doing exactly that. But I'll tell you, and I can trust that my son will probably never listen to this, but he called me about 2 weeks ago. He's in his first year at community college, and he said, now I understand. He's like, now I understand. He said, I didn't realize that not everybody was, kissing babies and shaking hands and meeting people and having to speak and having to give your time and understanding the bigger picture. And he said, and now he's working towards a degree in social work. He said, now I understand. Mm-hmm. And I mean, first of all, that's the greatest gift you can ever get as a parent. But don't worry. He then later reminded me that he needed money for his car repair. So just to make sure it's all balanced. I haven't
coffee on the weekend yet. Well, it sounds like a major piece of the professional development for you is not only getting the certification, but connecting with that industry wherever you're at and building that network, which we all know is such a valuable and important piece. And, you have the gift of gab that got you onto the radio. It's got you through the door many times, I'm sure. And then your philanthropic work through community, like with the Ronald McDonald House and the Empty Stocking Fund stuff. Like, how many years did you do that? Was it 18 or?
No, like 6 or 7, just 6 or 7.
Well, it seems like you're a mainstay for that, and through that you found not community and purpose and fulfillment and friends. Like these are things that you took from that, and so you're a hunter, and that's your sales. But like some big game that you brought down are like the Hula Project and bringing the Ford World Curling events to St. John, like some of these bigger things. And you have a real, from my perspective, not just creative, but entrepreneurial spirit to bring some of these really cool things to life. And that's totally gives you energy, because I know anytime you and I talked about that stuff, it's like we couldn't talk over each other fast enough. And with that comes incredible challenges to be able to get that stuff over the finish line. So knowing what it's like in any political landscape, whether it's in Mississauga or St. John or the Regional Hospital Foundation, like what lessons can you share about how using all the things that you've learned can actually get those bigger events and, fundraise, whatever the initiative is, like over the finish line?
Well, listen, thank you for that question. And do you know what? That I'm gonna change the tact here a little bit and say change hurts. Challenging the status quo is gonna get you beat up. So be ready for that. One of the and I say this as a joke, not as defeatist, but when you're expecting something, it hits you a little differently. And so, in philanthropy, particularly around events, I would say, no good deed goes unpunished. And I didn't mean that as like, oh, somebody's gonna. It's not that. Know that when you finish something, somebody's going to have something to say, and you're going to think that thing was your child and that somebody's telling you have an ugly baby. Yeah. If you are prepared for somebody to say you have an ugly baby, guess what? When they say it, you're like, there, we're done. So I'm prefacing all of those great things to say that all of those things, everybody has seen the press releases and everybody's seen the photos and the awards, but they've not seen the work. So I'm going to start by saying, surround yourself with extraordinary people. And I am a leader that I concede to expertise. I will bring experts around me and let them loose. Discover St. John, at the regional hospital, and now at Visit Mississauga. What's your wildest dream? If you work for me, I'm going to ask you what your wildest dream is. So if hierarchy or money or what you think are perceived hurdles to whatever the thing may be, if those didn't exist, what would you want to do? And then those are the things that I want to do. Like those become the things that I want to do. So if you look at any of those ideas and say, wow, Vic, you have the greatest ideas. No way. I am the fuel in somebody's rocket. So you had to have the idea, hula, that's Jill McKinnon, who's at Envision St. John now. If you look at Area 506, that's Ray Gracewood. If you look at Moonlight Bazaar, that's Lachlan and Jody. Like, their ideas, if you come this summer to Mississauga, and any summer, I hope, if this podcast lasts a while, and you come and see Jackalope, that is Kyle and Caitlin on my team now in Visit Mississauga saying, you won't believe it. And I'm like, great, I want to not believe it. Let's see what's going to happen. Keith Rideau trusting us to have Uber 5000 paint a 80-foot tall mural. You've got to have great people around you with great ideas, and people that want to see things through the way that you do, and that people that trust you. And so I had to build up a lot of trust within the hospital foundation to do things differently, to kill events that I thought that the cost to raise $1 was too high. With Discover St. John, to have partners like the St. John Hotel Association and hoteliers and business people and politicians trust me, the port to trust me, that whether we didn't quite have the money yet, or we didn't quite have the permission yet, or we didn't quite have the artist signed yet, or we weren't quite sure how we were going to do it, but we'll show you what the end is. And if you can trust us to get there, building trust breeds trust, but you need to be absolutely, you need to be pristine with your word. You need to be absolutely transparent with where you are in any process. And then you have to be willing to take risks. And to me, and if you're the leader, the risk begins and ends with you. There's no, well, the person didn't, or somebody on my team didn't, she don't cut it. So trust and integrity, and those things go hand in hand anyway. So to be able to bring in somebody like Sean Euro, and then to tell the story of the world's highest tides, people weren't telling those kinds of stories about St. John. To bring in a street artist to paint a mural about St. John and Graffiti Alley in Toronto, like what sense does that make to people? But the legacy of that has been incredible. And now bringing in what used to be called extreme sports, but now action sports into Mississauga. It doesn't play to type. But it's exactly who Mississauga is. We brought in snowmobilers, trick snowmobilers, Barb Ghazi at New Year's Eve. The athletes couldn't wait. They couldn't wait to let us know that they want to come back next year, because we had about a 40% South Asian audience of 45,000 people who had never seen anything like that before in their lives. And that was the same thing will happen when we bring in a snowboarding event that's going to happen next February. But this summer, breakdancing is in the Olympics, and the national qualifier for breakdancing will be in Mississauga during this action sport called Jackalope. And you just need to bring people along with you. So my career, the reason that Mississauga called me when they were looking for a new CEO was that I had a reputation in the industry for trying out of the box things and landing it. So, but again, you can't do that without great people around you, because it's honest to God. I mean, I'm not being modest when I say it's not a one-man show. There's no way it can be a one-man show.
Yeah. I love your metaphor around being a hunter, and I think all three of us are, both literally and figuratively. And you talk about now about hunting the big game, and looking back on your career, I'm curious as to, like, are you surprised that you are in the position now that you are in as CEO of Visit Mississauga? And what were, you talk about those, like, you're the one taking the shot. Like you're that one. And when you look back of your progress from kind of maybe starting from hunting small game to now big game, what are some of those big shifts that happened for you that you now look back and recognize and can almost like see within yourself of like, wow, Victoria, like, good job.
Well, do you know what? I almost feel a little bit like, George of the Jungle, that I'm swinging from vine to vine and really hoping that when I reach out that I actually make the connection with the vine. To go from being a university graduate to my parents saying, yeah, you're not going to be working at a golf course. We're going to help start you in a business with computerized accounting. That was so not what I wanted to do, but it paid the bills, and that's what you want to do when you're first starting out. I was doing year 2000 conversion and never thought that I would be teaching myself how to do code, but what that did is that unlocked in me that I can probably teach myself anything. I always knew that I had the stamina to do anything, but you have to convince yourself that you have the intelligence. You said gift of gab, Peter, to be able to talk my way around, a pro DJ like Dave Reynolds, and to be offered that job was a riot. I never thought I would be doing that, Emily. But then when it was over, I could not have ever imagined the impact that it had on people, because I spent my mornings in a booth with Dave Reynolds, but everybody else spent their morning in the car or brushing their teeth or getting the kids off to school or laying in bed listening to me. So when I left that job to go to the hospital foundation, the number of people that reached out, you don't realize your impact, because we were having fun and we were being silly, whether I was calling, Rosie O'Donnell or James Blunt or whatever, George, I forgot his name, Canadian heavyweight, I can't remember his name, Chuvalo, George Chuvalo, or, talking to Terry Fox's brother. Like, these are the things that you just never thought you would do. To the hospital foundation, where I have to tell you, like, the big accomplishments there were just creating the opportunity for these doctors to be able to perform the surgeries or perform the procedures that people in New Brunswick needed, and allowed New Brunswick to punch way above its weight. Because remember, province of New Brunswick, 750,000 people, 725,000 people at the time, to be able to have like a stem cell transplantation program, to have new heart lung bypass machines, to be, doing the first TAVI procedure. Like, these are big deals. And so to be able to stand next to being the facilitator of a need in the community and connecting that with someone who is able to financially fulfill that need, huge sense of pride, because you knew the work that you did every day meant something to people. And I'll tell you, that's where I've learned, and people in my life have heard this a million times to me, after working in the fishbowl, that is the front desk, the front office of the St. John Regional Hospital Foundation. At the time, the offices were right there at the front door. You're not having a bad day. You're not having a bad day. You cannot have a bad day, because I've sat and met the people who are having the bad day.
Yeah.
Who are having the bad day. And transferring from that to tourism, and being able to tell the stories of communities and win big business that you see keep people employed, win media attention that lets a city stand up and take pride in itself. Those have been the big things. And that's not talking about the philanthropy or the volunteering in the community or raising my family. Those are the things that I'm obviously most proud of. I mean, we're talking about business right now, but being able to participate in the Ronald McDonald House new build campaign here for Atlantic Canada, and talking to people that we know enjoy making the difference in our community, but know that they get asked 1,000 times. And so to be able to position this particular, once in a generation ask, and then to see the walls of that building go up and know that people in need will be so positively impacted, like, that's an easy reason for me to make a call. And just so you know, I will leverage relationships. Like, Peter, I will call you and say, who do you know that? Or Peter, when are you going to blank? People in my life know I'm going to call you, but I'm probably going to only ask you once, and I'm going to save it for a Hail Mary. But those are the things that I'm proud of. And I'm proud that I've raised, 2 kids that want to be self-sufficient, that want to contribute to the community and understand the value of that. I don't expect you to do at 20 what I'm doing at 50. But I hope you have aspirations of contributing to the community continuously through your life.
I love that. And I love hearing just, all the ways that you speak about like the gift of gab, and all the ways that like we can use just our gifts, to really benefit everyone. And that makes me actually think, Victoria, of a funny story regarding Pete. I don't even know if you know this, but it does have to do with Bruce McLeod. Pete, do you know where I'm going?
Maybe.
Let's hear it.
Yeah, let's hear it. So Victoria, you spoke about how Bruce saying about the well, are you really a stay-at-home mom? Pete, let's hear what Bruce said to you about your gift of gab.
So Bruce was my mentor coach in school, and so the best part about Bruce was every time you turned on the screen, he was just sitting there, just ready to go, right? And about 15 minutes into my first mentor session, he goes, Can I ask you, like with full permission, like, I just can make an observation. Are you aware of your extroversion? Right? And it hit me in the chops like a ton of bricks, right?
Oh my God.
But I never forgot it. And ever since then, I try and keep it. I mean, it's hard. Like that's going against your nature a little bit, because I feel like all 3 of us, we can relate to a lot of that. It's leaning into the gifts that we have, I guess, right. More so maybe. So let's just say that's what Bruce was saying to me, but it definitely.
When you said with permission, I could totally hear Bruce's voice, and you're like, okay, so
my God.
Okay, so like with permission, and all the preamble of like ask you something that is going to be a complete bullseye.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Boom.
Well, and Pete, you said, the Empty Stocking Fund and being on the radio and like presentations, and can you get up and say a few words like that? I've even kind of jokingly say like extroversion to the extreme. But to me, like if you can relate to people, Peter, that's what's made you successful in your work to date. And to me, it creates unique opportunities. And that connection of people, like I just think of the Empty Stocking Fund was that, oh my God, you're going to give me a microphone for 8 hours? Get the hell out of my way. And then to me, like, I don't forget a face. So I know your kids. So I'll be like looking out for you in the audience, and I'll be like, there's a Stoddard on this stage. And if they're in high school, it's even better. I will embarrass your kids on
Mhm.
TV. But to me, that again, it's just about the connection, and it's about warmth and people feeling seen. It's I love that Bruce said that about you. I just could hear Bruce's voice through what you
Right.
just.
Yes.
Yeah. The like when you talk, when you kind of recap, like almost like your leadership style, my observation, if I can drop like a very obvious thing to me, and I'm sure you're aware of it anyway, but when I asked you about how do you get those big projects across the finish line, and like all the things that you've talked about already today, but like one is about majorly building trust in the community and the people that you're partnership with and being transparent.
Yeah.
But also one of the greatest things that you have is your ability to empower your team and facilitate their ideas. Like, what's your wildest dream? Like, I sit down with somebody that says, what's your wildest dream? And then they're going to help me find the resources, support, and facilitation to make it happen. Like, I don't even know if I want to think about what that is, because like I kind of feel like I live it every day. But if somebody like would actually sit there and listen to me, like imagine what that would be like to unleash that courage and potential in someone. And that's how you got done those Uber 5000s, like the big events, like you're bringing snowmobile jumpers to Mississauga. Like that's cool stuff. And to me, it's you're using your leadership to be a champion of cities, because you've done it there. You've done it here. You've done it with your foundation work and your philanthropic work, and you've done it with your kids. And like, what a great model to see. Like, I know your kids, I know they're fabulous children, and like to see like that, their trajectory and how you've supported them over time. I don't know if that's anything new to you. I think that you come by it so naturally, but it seems like it's a well sharpened sword in your box. And it's great to see.
Oh, you're kind. You're kind. I'll tell you my greatest day is when something looks like it's insurmountable and that we can actually clear it together. So I think of, Sean Euro and saying like, who has jurisdiction over the sea? And for the people that are listening, you can look up Sean Euro, and he's known as the Hula. He painted from a paddleboard. He painted a mural in the St. John Harbor, 28 feet high by 40 feet wide. Why? To illustrate our incredible high tides, but how? We didn't quite know how. Who has jurisdiction over the ocean?
Yeah.
I remember asking the guys to pressure wash the wall to prepare it for Sean, and talk about trying to clear a hurdle. They were like, how deep do you want it cleared till? And I was like, I don't know, do what you normally do. And just so you know, they don't normally do that.
Do what you normally do when you're spray painting algae off a tidal wall for a mural. Like,
well, he's like, you think we vacuum the ocean too, smartass? So no, but things like that, and things like bringing in tall ships, or starting, supporting a dream like Ray Gracewood was on our board at the time when he came up with Area 506, and that's a shipping container village, and looking right into really who St. John was, but St. John didn't want to tell itself it was, and to create an event that now has a legacy of a permanent home on St. John's Port, and a proud permanent home on St. John's Port. It was about saying we don't need to have all the answers to start, and we'll have all the answers by the time we're done. And again, that is about taking risk, owning that risk, and leading people confidently through the uncertain and the unknown. And Peter, I know that you've done that in your career as well, and Emily as well. It's not easy. And again, we're talking about the highlights of my career. I will tell you that I've had challenges in my career. I've had challenges in my personal life. And those are all just the broad spectrum that is to be an adult and to be a person in the world. But to be able to clear hurdles, whether it is for myself or my staff or my family, is the most gratifying. And I'll tell you, more often than not, Pete and Emily, more often than not, when I'm trying to clear those hurdles, I go out to my network to find the person that is somebody that can give me advice. And even if they haven't been through that particular scenario, people in my life that are generous enough to let me share my vulnerabilities and to share those back with me and to help me solve problems. And we know that's executive coaching. And so to me, even though I had those people in my life, I didn't have those people in my life that I wanted to reveal everything, or that wouldn't have the capacity for some of the professional challenges that I was having. And so again, if you were looking for some North Stars in your life, having executive coaching would be one of those things where we would joke. I would say sometimes I'm like, this is edging into the area of therapy.
Yeah, totally.
Bruce was kind in that too. I'm sure Bruce was a closet psychoanalyst, but those challenges and those successes in life all begin with being able to share those with the people that you care about in your life.
Wonderful. Yeah. Well, Victoria, I am just so appreciative of you taking the time to come back on the show. And Pete, thank you for joining me as co-host today. This has been so enjoyable. And I know this is a conversation that we could just continue having. And Victoria, I appreciate your transparency, just the way that you just show up fully as you. Just a really enjoyable conversation. So for all of our listeners, we are going to list all of Victoria's information and any extras we discussed in the show notes. And the best place to find all of that is on our website. And we are active on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. And yes, this video version is available on YouTube and Facebook. And of course, the podcast is available on all of your favorite podcast platforms. Thank you for listening. Follow or subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast app or visit boilingpointpodcast.com for more.